Hello and welcome to We Could Do It Better. I am Jonah Maple and my friend Grant Coven will be around here in just a second. It is February 27th, Thursday right before spring break for everyone at Ball State. It's 12:30 and it's been
a week.
It's been a week.
We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't change the channel. It's going to be busy. And this is the first time we're talking about all of it too. You were on time, but you were running later than usual, and we usually at least kind of break stuff down at least a little bit before the show starts. So everything that we say is going to be like completely unreheared. So
we have like a document where we organize all of this stuff, and this is I think the longest one so far.
Yeah. Which is great. I feel like in the past couple of episodes we haven't had enough, and we kind of like had to beef it out for the whole hour. So this will be good. But how about you get right into? You've got the news.
Unfortunately, this morning, Gene Hackman and his wife
and dog,
Betsy Arakawa, were found dead in their New Mexico home. So that's very sad. Gene Hackman lived a long life. He was 95.
Yeah,
but I mean, his wife was in her 60s.
So do we know the cause of death? Was it?
No, I don't know the cause of death from like the stories I've read.
Because like to have something like that makes me think like carbon monoxide or something like that.
Yeah, we're not going to speculate.
Yeah, right.
Just condolences, I guess, to everyone. And I'm not a big classical, but so I don't know his wife's work, Betsy Arakawa, but Gene Hackman, we've both enjoyed his career, especially he's been in a lot of stuff, but we especially know him as Superman.
Right.
As Lex Luthor in the Richard Donner Superman movies. Mm-hmm. Or I guess all four. I don't think Richard Donner directed all four. But in Superman through Superman 4. And he was a great Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. You got some more.
Yeah.
Go right into Multiverse of Movies.
Yeah, so going on to Multiverse of Movies, we've got some. So Keanu Reeves and the director of the first Constantine movie, whose name escapes me at the moment, said that a Constantine sequel is in the works at DC Studios. This has not been announced by them, but just Keanu Reeves just said this.
So I have questions, and you may or may not be able to answer them. Will this fit into the new DCU canon?
No, this is supposedly in the same world as Constant.
Okay, so this will be like the Elseworlds.
Maybe they find a way to fit in the same world.
Okay.
But it's like a direct sequel, but it is supposedly a direct sequel to the first Constantine movie. This hasn't even been like officially announced yet. Or maybe they have technically officially announced in the couple days since then, but I didn't see anything about that. And supposedly someone at DC is writing a script. Keanu Reeves and the director came up with it and then like pitched the idea, and then someone's writing the script. The director for Francis Lawrence. So I've actually never seen the first Constantine movie.
I haven't either.
But that's on my list. There's like 20 things that I need to watch, and even more things I feel like I need to read. But that is on my list. There's also X-Men casting rumors. Ayo Edebiri is being rumored for Storm. People know her from a lot of comedy stuff, but especially from The Bear and from not that The Bear is really a comedy, and also the movie Bottoms, which I loved. I think that was great. Her for Storm. I love Ayo Edebiri. That does. She strikes me as a weird Storm. We don't have time to get into like our opinions really about it. And then Mark Qualley is being rumored for Rogue, which I like better.
I don't.
Well,
I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Like
I think
I've seen other castings so far.
I think I like Keke Palmer better for Rogue. I also honestly think Ayo Edebiri would be a better Rogue, or I don't know. I think Ayo Edebiri fits more as Rogue than as Storm, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Scooper just mixed that up because they didn't realize that Rogue can also be black, because she was originally supposed to be, but then John Byrne messed it up. But I think if you've seen the movie Drive Away Doll, she kind of has like a more her character in that is from Florida, and she kind of has that accent and a little bit more of that vibe. So I think that kind of would work.
Yeah.
Like fitting the more like X-Men 90s cartoon, X-Men 97 comics Rogue rather than the sort of like emo Rogue that we got in the 2000s movies.
Yeah.
I think that works. Which is which I would guess that's what they would be going for anyway, to get something new.
Yeah.
Also, oh man, I've got a couple things.
Yeah.
Gunn and Safran have confirmed again that I think before it was tenuous that Pattinson will be the DCU's Batman, and that the Clayface movie will be the origin of the DCU's Clayface and not the Matt Reeves Batman.
Well, right, because I mean,
Clayface.
I did hear rumors that Clayface was going to be in this, Batman Part 2, I guess, if that's what we're calling it. But it looks like it's pretty. There's no way that we're gonna get 2 Clayfaces in different universes.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? It's kind of the whole Batman stuff right there it's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah.
Not that I'm. They've also James Gunn has also said that the Authority movie, which a couple years ago
It got announced
and was seeming to be like one of the first ones that they were going to make back when they announced it in like January 2023, and when we were learning the first stuff about the Superman movie. But James Gunn has said that one has been put on the back burner or postponed or whatever, as he's.
Well, just like I don't think anyone cares.
I do.
Much. I know.
I love the Authority. I mean,
right, but you're also like. There's not a lot of people that are still like super diehard and Authority.
Oh, I wouldn't consider myself like I'm not a Authority.
Right. Okay. I'm just saying I don't think anyone's gonna be super devastated, especially with all the other DC projects we are getting right now.
I do think the Authority is. We could do a whole we could talk for. I could talk for hours about how just interesting the Authority is and what it has to say.
I could talk about it for a minute.
Yeah, about like whether it is like authoritarian or anti-authoritarian or like is it both? And I think that the ways they did that, is interesting. But James Gunn specifically pointed out that because the show adaptation of The Boys kind of makes it more difficult, at least in his mind,
right? Because it's gonna seem like a very similar project.
Yeah, and it's different because to me, the Authority is very different from The Boys because the people in the Authority are at least portrayed as good people.
Yeah,
and they do care, but they are kind of autocrats.
Right.
And also, you have to realize that The Boys never would have happened without the Authority. The Boys, at least the Garth Ennis comic, is one of the reactions to the Authority. Like the Authority comic from 1999 through 2004 was like one of the most, even if it's like not critically acclaimed, which I think it should be. Even like it's not super well written, but it says a lot.
Sure.
And it had an outsized influence on the comic industry because there's so many stuff that was a direct response to that, because so many people found it so appalling that it like changed the spirit of comic books. And there's kind of like 3 divergences of like how do we portray militarism.
Anyways,
longer than it was supposed to.
In other news, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have really freaking long episode.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of updates on the next Spider-Man one, which it's pretty much confirmed that Tom Holland will at least do another trilogy of his Spider-Man, as well as showing up in a couple of crossover movies down the road. But Spider-Man 4 does get a release date of July 31st, 2026, with Mr. Negative rumored to be the big bad guy.
Which I love because I love Mr. Negative. I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, and Feast has already been established, which means if Peter Parker is looking to do some non-Spider-Man related volunteer work, he could definitely volunteer at Feast, and that would be a great introduction for Martin Lee, who's also known as Mr. Negative. Daisy Ridley is also rumored to be cast. She played Rey Palpatine, Rey Skywalker, however you want to call it, in the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Yeah, and she's been in other stuff too, of course.
Right, but that's her probably most notable role.
Yeah, that's how everyone will recognize her for eternity.
Right. So, I mean, she could be Gwen Stacy. She could be Black Cat. I probably can't see Gwen Stacy that well for Daisy Ridley. Maybe Black. I don't know.
She'd be a very interesting choice for either of them because she doesn't strike me as either of those, but I also think that she's probably a good enough actor.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we are supposed to get like a completely new cast. We might get some cameo appearances from Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned, and Zendaya, who played Michelle Jones Watson. But for the most part, this is going to be a complete cast reset. So everyone that we've seen in previous movies probably aren't going to be there, which makes sense because, at the end of No Way Home, I mean, Peter Parker promised Ned and MJ that he would come and find them, but it looked like he kind of was like, you know what? When people know my identity, people get hurt, they get thrown in danger's way. So I think he's making kind of like this noble sacrifice to kind of leave everyone he loves behind, essentially, for their sake.
Yeah. I mean, I disagree on like whether or not, I mean, that is a often reminded question in superhero comics, especially Spider-Man comics. That's also a big thing in Daredevil.
Right.
But yeah, it was like Spider-Man's like, no one should know my secret. It endangers them. It was like no, you probably should like have a family and friends.
Right.
But
but I'm going to enjoy this. Like if Peter Parker is really gone, like off the face of the earth, essentially, I'm going to love seeing more Spider-Man, because not saying we didn't get enough Spider-Manning in the first 3 movies, but I felt like they were still very Peter Parker. And like, I get it. Like, Peter Parker is a huge part of it, but I feel like I would have loved to see more web slinging, more, bigger bad guy fights, like just more action, I guess. Yeah. Not saying that, the first 3 movies did not have the action. I just think like we need a good web slinging moment. Like, I'm talking like Andrew Garfield has some great web slinging moments. Yeah. So did Tobey Maguire, and I want that same thing for Tom Holland. In other news, Chris Pratt went on the Jimmy Kimmel show earlier this week, and he was asked about whether the legendary Star-Lord will return, which was promised at the end credits of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Chris Pratt addressed that on the Jimmy Kimmel show, saying that we will make good on that promise. This also comes after Dave Bautista has also gone on the record saying that James Gunn would need to call him in order to convince him to step back into Drax's shoes. So It sounds like all the Guardians that we saw at the end of Volume 3 could very well, I would not be surprised at all if they make an appearance in Secret Wars, at least. I don't think this is going to be a Doomsday project. Doomsday, I figure, will be very Earth central. So, Benedict Cumberbatch has already kind of teased the fact that he will be involved in Doomsday, as well as, like, I think Charlie Cox for Daredevil. So I just think anyone who's not on Earth is probably not going to be involved in that movie. But with Secret Wars being, a huge, event. I mean, I think Rocket Raccoon got shot in Hickman's Secret Wars. Did he die? I'm pretty sure Rocket Raccoon died in Hickman's Secret Wars.
Not to spoil, I do not remember.
I'm pretty sure Rocket Raccoon got shot.
It might have been in the lead up. I don't know.
Just as the 2 worlds are going to war.
Yeah, that first issue was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
So it'd be interesting to see if our Guardians will make a return at some point.
Yeah.
On to Don't Change the Channel. We're going to do a Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man spoiler review. We're going to keep it still pretty brief because we still have a lot to get through. But I mean, the last episode, quite a mind F.
Yeah. And everyone tune back in 6 minutes if you want to.
We'll give it 6 minutes.
Just because we have so much to get through. Yeah, there's a lot. Okay, so they did the kind of thing that they did also with Agatha all along, where kind of a lot of the main story wrapped up in the first, before the final. Before the final episode, and the final episode kind of made everything make sense.
Like full circle moment, yeah.
Yeah, with going to the past, and we also see Doctor Strange. So it turns out that Doctor Strange from the first thing, for whatever reason, I assumed he was like a multiversal Doctor Strange from the first, from like the first scene in episode 1, but it uses Doctor Strange from a few months in the future.
Yeah. Now I've got a big question, and I mean maybe this will happen somewhere down the road. But in Across the Spider-Verse, Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, was talking about Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999. And now I'm wondering if this could be potentially it, and we could get a potential crossover from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in the Beyond the Spider-Verse.
That would...
Because that would make sense. That would cover their, like when it was first announced, everyone was like, oh, that's totally MCU. But if that's the direction that Marvel doesn't want to go in, that would be a perfect way to kind of cover their...
I don't know. Maybe that would require Sony and Marvel like playing nice even more than they already are.
I mean, overall, I think they're still playing really nice. I don't know. I mean, we got Spider-Man. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to see Tombstone kind of start to become, which that's going to be a really emotionally charged fight. With Tombstone and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and I'm blanking on his alter ego, the quarterback, the guy who joined the gang, Tombstone. No, really?
I forget. You can't remember either.
Well, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't know who I was. No,
I know what you're talking about.
But, he started getting like the weird.
Yeah. So, when he got exposed to chemical, yeah.
So when did he get exposed to those chemicals?
In the fight, he got knocked into the truck that they were going to steal.
Right. Right. Okay. I missed that. But yes, so that was at least pretty cool. So we'll have to. So I wonder if it's just gonna like slowly just take over his body until he becomes fully.
Yeah.
Tombstone-y.
Which is weird. I don't know about how much he looked in the I thought he was just like strong and albino.
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, he's got like the reason why he's so, formidable is because his skin feels like a tombstone.
Yeah.
You don't want to get punched by it. I fought him multiple times in my Spider-Man PS4 game.
Yeah, I think my only exposure to Tombstone was the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon.
Okay. Yeah. But
overall, where does this now that you finished it? I kind of get my thoughts on like overall like where does this place for you?
I think this is my second favorite Spider-Man project
after
the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking back on. I looked at an entire list of all the animated cartoons that came out, and I was kind of like trying to see if I agreed with it. And yeah, I did have Spectacular Spider-Man in front, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man just behind that. I'm like, that's pretty fair. Yeah. I love all the other cartoons that came before it. Maybe not the Disney XD Ultimate Spider-Man.
That one was the anime. Like there were like some things that they got super right.
Yeah.
But like 90% of it, they just got like so. Like I have like a lot of nostalgia for it, but like I recognize it as just like a bad show.
Well, they try to so deeply attach it to the MCU still.
Yeah, they did that with a couple projects from back then.
They had Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson back there, and like that was still like very heavily.
Yeah, I think to the
Shield
detriment.
Stuff, yeah. Shield was involved way too much.
Yeah, because they also that's a conversation for the other time. But at the end of the day, do you think that this is a recommend or a do not recommend?
Oh, I absolutely recommend it. I mean, I was talking to my brother earlier, and he's like, "Are you watching anything good right now?" I'm like, I mean, I shouldn't feel embarrassed to say, "Hey, I'm watching this cartoon that's TV PG." But I mean, it is like if you're a Spider-Man fan and if you keep an open mind, because there are a lot of closed-minded people that watch this and be like, "Arr."
Yeah. Just know that you're getting something new,
right?
Because I think that is what a lot of Spider-Man fans want.
Right.
I think that there are some who just want, hey, let's do like the 80s again.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why, but I think also, but like for Spider-Man, you kind of need to do new stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I think that this show has been doing that successfully, and I'm excited to see where season 2 ends up.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but after the finale was posted, one of the creators took to Twitter, I think, and posted a picture of what Gwen Stacy will look like. So she's gonna.
Oh yeah, I did see that, and she's gonna be a Spider Gwen too.
Yeah.
Some people I've seen are very upset about that. I'm just like,
let them cook.
Yeah, like
let them cook.
See what something is before. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy for a lot of things. But yeah, overall, I would recommend this for Spider-Man fans.
Oh, absolutely.
I do think that this will be probably a good thing for a lot of like the kids who people who were like kind of the age we were.
Yeah.
When we like got introduced to Spider-Man, it's like this is kind of this is who he is. Like some things are different, but like you get the essence of Spider-Man. Moving on, you do have moving on to the rest of Don't Change the Channel.
We've got a new Andor trailer that came out a couple days ago.
I've not seen it yet. Andor, like the TV show, is like number 2 on my watch list.
It's really good. It was really dark, and it was weird because the trailer for season 2 seemed weirdly positive and optimistic, which makes me just think that things are just going to go even worse, and they're just going to devastate us even more.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like you can change the mood in a trailer very much.
Right. So it drops on April 22nd. I don't really have that much else to say about it.
Yeah.
You've seen Andor. It's really great. It was like one of the higher rated. It's probably one of the better things that, Lucasfilms, Disney, Star Wars have done in a while.
On screen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I honestly, it is like a lot of people's favorite thing after the original trilogy. I've heard that from
And The
people.
Mandalorian. Mandalorian is always that's like top tier for me.
Yeah.
Like season 1 Mandalorian was freaking amazing. But yeah.
Yeah. So right after we finished last week, there's a new Avatar: The Last Airbender show got announced. Made by the same people who made like the first one in Legend of Korra, and it's gonna be like full 17, 20 whatever episode season.
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of it. Our friend Chris, I'm sure, is very excited. But yeah, and I know that is notable because there are a lot of Avatar fans out there. Also, there were a few DC projects announced. There's a new Lantern show.
Yeah.
So wait, sorry. Sorry. The new Lantern. Okay, so
you skipped a point. You
okay.
You were supposed to read that one. I wrote this one underneath it because there's another piece. So go to your D point.
There's a new animated DC Green Lantern show, My Adventures with Green Lantern, which has been confirmed to be in the same universe as My Adventures with Superman.
Yes.
It is executively the showrunner Jake White, who is also the showrunner, who I believe worked on Adventures with Superman. I think was also the showrunner of there.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. And it's going to be following Jessica Cruz, my favorite Green Lantern, because she also has anxiety. And it's going to be following her in high school, which is an interesting approach.
Yeah.
Because she kind of came out as started as an adult, but I do think that if there is a Lantern that you do fit in high school, she's probably the one, besides like the one who's like a teenager right now.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited for. If it's made by the same people, and I really do appreciate the character of Jessica Cruz. So if they adapt that, if it's made by the same people who understand Superman, I imagine they could do Jessica Cruz. Also, the fact that they're choosing to adapt Jessica Cruz in the first place is probably a good sign that they're not just doing Hal Jordan again. Because we've gotten a lot of Hal Jordan.
Well, speaking of Hal Jordan, we do have literally a couple hours ago, James Gunn took to Instagram and posted our first official look at Hal Jordan who's played by Kyle Chandler, as well as Jon Stewart, who's played as Aaron Pierre. And they're just, again, like kind of walking down a dirt road. But the show has been written by Damon Lindelof and Tom King.
Damon
Lindelof, sorry. So yeah, production starts today. That was kind of like the announcement.
Oh, I thought it was, like, started last week.
No, he just posted today that production starts. So, I mean, maybe he's wrong, but I really doubt it if he's the head of DC. But yeah, we don't really know a lot else about it. It's going to be like a buddy cop detective show where the Lanterns are dispatched to Earth and they're going to solve crimes, which interesting take, but I'm here for it.
I mean, I'm excited for it. I've seen most of. I've liked most of the stuff from Damon Lindelof. I mean, I've liked everything from Damon Lindelof I've seen. I've liked most of the. I've liked most of the stuff from Tom King I've seen. I'm excited to see what they do in this new, with this new kind of thing, and to see them work together. There's also a new DC animated show, Starfire! Mark. That's executive produced and I assume written by Josie Campbell, who is the head writer on She-Ra and My Adventures with Superman, and quite a few comic series. Shazam, the My Adventures with Superman tie-in comic, Amazon's Attack, a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm super excited for. I like Starfire.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I've appreciated the works of Josie Campbell.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are going to be excited for that. It's going to be kind of more like her origin story, which I've read a couple versions of, and I do think is a very interesting origin. And Josie Campbell, if she is, I assume that she's going to be writing it, could write very well. And is very interesting, and especially if it isn't like the same quality or even like a similar style of animation to my Adventures with Superman, I think that is a good sign, because it's kind of like a space odyssey thing, and I'm super excited for that.
Next up, I'm going to be covering all the Marvel stuff, because Marvel TV has kind of been going down the toilet in the past week. So we had multiple Marvel projects shelved. Yes, so we had Okoye, which was going to focus on, the head of the Dora Milaje. Milaje? Yeah. So that's completely shelved. Like, she's, I think that's canceled at this point. Nova, which super disappointed. Nova was going to get shelved, but I'm wondering if Nova got shelved because the premise of Nova would be eerily like Lanterns, because the premise of Nova was going to be space cop, taking down crime in space. Like, that's the same premise as, you've got, these officers from a different planet.
Yeah, and crimes.
I mean, like, that seems so eerily alike.
Yeah, well, in the Nova Corps is kind of like a send-up of the Green Lanterns.
Right. Terra Incorporated, which I'll get to what Terra Incorporated was. I wasn't even aware that Terra Incorporated was in the works until it was canceled. And then Strange Academy, which honestly I'm not that too disappointed about. I don't think anyone really was asking for it much. I'm just speaking on behalf, because I do read comics. I don't read a lot of comics, but I read comics. But I don't think, casual MCU fans are going to be like, shucks.
I think Strange Academy fans, I've heard from some Strange Academy fans.
Right. I'm sure they're disappointed.
Or disappointed, like me, where I think the Authority is vastly interesting. Do not take that as a endorsement of their actions.
Sure.
But anyway, it's kind of one of those things that was kind of more of a niche thing.
Yeah.
That probably.
Well, the premise was going to be like the Strange Academy is pretty much what Charles Xavier did for the X-Men. Like, Doctor Strange makes an academy for magically gifted individuals. Terra Incorporated is about an anti-hero that can replace body parts with other people's body parts, gaining their memories.
That's wild. I didn't even know that character.
Which that seems like very Frankenstein-esque.
Yeah.
I suppose. So that's just kind of really freaking weird. We've also got an announcement that X-Men 97 Season 2 comes out in 2026. Last time we saw our X-Men, they were scattered throughout essentially the time. Yeah. some of them were sent back to the desert where they met Apocalypse. Some of them got sent to the future. Some of them stayed in the present.
Yeah, Bishop.
It was Bishop and
Jubilee.
Oh, who's the guy that makes the parts?
Sunfire.
No, it's Bishop, and he's the
Gambit?
guy the really smart guy that makes weapons and stuff.
Oh yeah, Forge.
I
love Forge.
Bishop and Forge.
One of my favorites.
They were on the lookout. They did the classic Days of Future Past, like missing, dead, deceased.
Yeah.
Poster kind of up in the I guess bottom of the X Mansion probably. So season 2 is probably going to follow, how to get all the X-Men back. Brad Winterbaum, who's the head of Marvel TV, has already said that season 3 is insane, which I feel like how can it get more insane than scattering the entire X-Men throughout an entire timeline? I know X-Men stories. I know Krakoa is probably going to be...
X-Men stories are insane.
Really crazy. So that'll be super exciting.
My prediction upon watching X-Men 97 season 1 was, okay, so, and then they're going to do, they're going to finish up the rest of the 90s and, do some of the 2000 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 3 or 4 or whatever is going to be a good Krakoa.
Yeah.
They're going to, because, which I'm super excited
Yeah, no,
for.
that's going to be fun.
If they don't get, if Disney does not go, you cannot do that. I do think that there's a way to mess up Krakoa.
Yeah.
But so far,
it seems like Disney is doing, and we'll get to this in a minute, Disney is doing a really good job not holding back on child restrictions or not holding back on that rated R or grittier vibe.
Well, I mean, in terms of just letting people do letting social metaphor,
right,
and representation is more what they've kind of been queasy about.
Yeah,
with some stuff, it's been very much off and on. But yeah.
On to our next little bit. As the social media embargoes are being lifted for Daredevil Born Again, the reviews have been coming in as quite positive. Season 3 of Daredevil Born Again is already heavily being rumored, but the reviews for Season 1 are saying that Disney's takeover of Daredevil is still staying faithful to the dark and gritty vibe, but the only complaint so far is spotty CGI. That's really good, though. People are walking away, traumatized, but excited for more. That's pretty crazy. To have a Disney project traumatizing Daredevil fans.
Yeah.
And I know the villains that you're introducing are going to be crazy. The trailers I saw, when you see Daredevil breaking bones and there's blood, it's crazy. They are not holding back. I am really freaking mad right now, though, is probably due to the success of Daredevil Born Again. Vincent D'Onofrio canceled on Indiana Comic Con.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm really mad because I had a Funko Pop that I bought just for him to sign, and now I'm going to have to wait and maybe go someplace else when Daredevil Born Again isn't as popping, because I was like, that's going to be perfect. I mean, at that point, Daredevil Born Again is going to be right in the middle of all its popularity, and I'll get to meet Kingpin, but nope. Vincent D'Onofrio probably is doing better things, I don't know.
I mean, he's probably in LA.
Right.
John Bernthal, there's also going to be a Disney Plus Punisher special presentation that releases with the second season of Daredevil Born Again, which, I mean, you guys don't need to hear my thoughts about Punisher again.
So, it makes sense because a lot of people have also been claiming that John Bernthal's Punisher has been amazing.
Yeah, he's a very good actor.
Yeah. So, I'm very excited to see what special presentation that they could adapt. I mean, there's clearly lots of stories that, and it seems like Disney is trying to at least lean a little bit more into the comics. Maybe not a complete faithful adaptation, but at least hints at other stuff. So you could definitely. My favorite theory so far is a Punisher kills the Marvel Universe.
I don't think they do that.
I don't think they would.
I
think that's way too dark. Although that's what I want. I wanted to see Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. That should be a special presentation for What If.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I would have loved to see that. But also,
I mean, I could see them doing. I mean, sorry, there are a lot of Punisher stories.
Sure.
You can draw from.
Moving on to Netflix, they just got leaked, and we now have official release dates for Stranger Things season 5, and it's so weird. We've got the first 6 episodes dropping on October 10th, and then the 7th and 8th episodes will drop on November 27th.
That's such a long. Okay, so.
And they did that before with season 4, but it was like maybe a week, 2 weeks.
I feel like it might have been long. I don't know.
But it wasn't that month and a half.
So
month and a half.
So
that's crazy.
So they got leaked. Did Netflix like after that make a special announcement? Or
No,
is it,
I think they're hoping that it kind of stays on the hush hush. But I mean, I have seen multiple sources point to the legitimacy of this.
I could also see them changing.
They of course can change their mind, and especially if people are like, "What? Why the heck are you changing?"
Having you wait a month is why.
I know that is way more than a month. Like that is.
I mean,
that's almost 2 months because like that's.
I think I understand that if they want to kind of create oh no. I was about to say something different. If they kind of want to have a cliffhanger or a time skip or something like that, I could see.
We're already doing a time skip between 4 and 5, though. Like to do another time skip between those two would be.
I mean, some media has been able to play with time skips very well. Think back to Young Justice.
I didn't finish Young Justice, but
like. Some stuff like Young Justice or like the DCAU Batman has been able to play with time in very successful ways.
Yeah.
In which I think that the Duffer Brothers are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, all of that was animation.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's something to consider. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Next up, we've got Game Over. We finally get to talk about the Thing, Human Torch, and the new Central Park map. Have you played since it's dropped?
No, I have not. I'm going to be playing this
over spring break.
Yeah, over spring break.
I actually still haven't played as the Thing yet. I have done some Human Torch stuff. I'm not a good duelist at all. I thrive as a healer.
Yeah.
I'm very good as a healer. I make sure my entire team is at least protected to the best of my ability. So I gave Human Torch a shot. I'm still trying to play as Human Torch because I need to learn how to play a duelist other than Moon Knight, because everyone craps on Moon Knight because they're like, oh, he's the easiest duelist to play. I'm like, I have a lot of fun with Moon Knight, so stop it. But I did get to play as Human Torch, and he does have you can kind of like do an accelerated state. We talked about this last episode where he can go kind of faster because he's not someone that just kind of walks around on the map. He's always flying.
Yeah.
Like he never truly touches the ground unless he gets killed.
Storm.
Right. Like Storm, like Iron Man. There's another one, I think. I don't know. But yeah, so he's never touching the ground. He throws like these fireballs, and they kind of act like shotgun shells. Like they kind of have like a spray effect.
Okay.
So if he's not great at long distance, which sucks.
Yeah.
He does have some long distance attacks where like he can throw a fireball down and it kind of just stays there and it sizzles and does like damage over time if someone gets caught in it. And he does have, maybe I haven't used him to, his full potential, but he's fine. His ultimate is cool. You get to throw these fireballs down and they turn into fire tornadoes. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but a lot of people are still really enjoying it. I've got a friend who's maining the Thing all the time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's just a great person to use for damage absorption and like being a shield, because that's really what he is to the Fantastic Four. I mean, he's good at taking hits, and he's a brawler, and he's super freaking strong. I see his clobbering time attack is so annoying to me, because what happens is he'll go, "Here's clobbering time." He'll slam the ground, and everyone in his path just gets stunned. And like you might get the crap beaten out of you if you're in his path, and it's freaking scary because I'll just watch whatever character I'm playing as just die right in front of me. I'm like, this.
Yeah, I've seen a few videos and it looks very.
Yeah.
He looks like a very fun character and like all the voice lines.
Yeah.
Sound really good.
But the Central Park map, I loved. It was just so fresh and so new. Blade was being held hostage in Dracula's castle. The story behind it was Squirrel Girl has a magical squirrel god on its side, and they're going to go free Blade and stop the vampires from taking over. Again, kind of weird, but whatever. But the map was already taken out 2 days ago. You can't play the map anymore.
You can't play the map
anymore?
No,
it was such a limited time mode. Now, they're probably going to work it back into their quick play rotation, but like at least for the, since the map debuted, you could always choose to play that map individually. And now they took it off, which really bummed me out because it was a lot of fun. I mean, if you escort the payload, you're pretty much just escorting a giant squirrel god.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I mean, yeah. I love it when all these like animal-based superheroes have their own gods, and like they don't mix like the Spider God stuff, the Barbatos, the Bat God. I love that stuff. I know it's crazy and kind of stupid, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, and so on the topic of all of these characters and stuff, remember you probably of course remember, but all the leaks that kind of duped out all the leakers, like when the developers tried to plant fake leaks, it's kind of looking like they're not doing that, actually. Like, it sounds like there might actually be some legitimacy behind these leaks. Like, we might actually get the X-Men that were rumored, and right now, it looks like Deadpool, Hitmonkey, and Angela, the Asgardian goddess, is supposed to make their way into the game very soon, which I'm so pumped for Deadpool. I mean, my username is Marvel Jesus, so like I'm waiting for that moment, that Deadpool, and I don't care what class he takes. I'm assuming he's going to be a duelist. I will learn how to play Deadpool, and I'm going to get so freaking good with him. Yeah.
There's also over at Warner Brothers, they shut down a couple of their game studios. I think Warner Brothers might be I don't know.
Warner Brothers is not doing good in the games division.
And the Wonder Woman game has been officially canceled. A lot of people lost their jobs, so first off, sorry for everyone who lost their jobs for that. That sucked, especially if you've like been working on a project for years and then just seeing it amount to nothing and just all of a sudden you kind of had to work.
Yeah, no.
That must be the worst. There's also like a lot of I consider myself a Wonder Woman fan. There are a lot of them out there. A lot of us out there. Dozens of us at least. And kind of like sad about that because like Wonder Woman has not gotten as much. Like she hasn't had a series since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of people are like mourning that, or even more common, people are like being upset about that. Although I'm sure that's just the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not a super big game person. So like this didn't like ruin my life or anything. But
I forgot to even put this on, and this will be really quick because I know we still have Comic Corner. But James Gunn has at least entertained the idea of a game to compete against Marvel rivals.
Yeah, I've heard about that. DC has like their own mobile game coming out soon that I originally put on stuff for, but it's just like, oh man, I do not care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might see that soon. I don't know. Hopefully there's some Wonder Woman project out there to make a new generation of people fall in love with that character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right,
so moving on to Comic Corner, we've got 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
So Marvel and DC at Comic Expo, which is a retail event in England. Marvel and DC, Movie Javins and Steve Sapolsky, the editors-in-chief for DC and Marvel, announced that they're going to do another round of crossovers.
Yeah.
We do know for certain we're going to get two. We're going to get at least two. There's going to be Marvel DC number 1 and DC Marvel, all of which they said is going to come this year. Just like little like one shots, I guess. and that's what they're called so far. Like one publisher doing each, and that's super exciting. These are the first crossovers since JLA Avengers in the early 2000s, like 2003, 2004. So that's huge news that they're playing nice again. Hopefully they don't like collude on price gouging and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of stuff that they could do. A lot of people are really excited for that. There's also have been some announcements. Sorry, do you have anything for
what?
For crossovers.
I don't have anything for crossovers.
Is there breaking news?
Not so much. It's not super breaking, but apparently Supergirl's already halfway through production.
It's been a month, right?
It has? I thought we just got our first photo like a couple weeks ago. Or has life been going that fast?
I think it's been a month.
That's okay. Well, yeah, midway through production though. It sounds like everything's going really well.
Also,
though.
James Gunn also kind of just sometimes hype stuff up more than like.
Let him cook. Let him cook. If
I know.
Creature
but
Commandos
like,
was good, if Superman's good, then I'm gonna let him keep
he also
talking about how great
like,
it is.
Flash the best movie he's ever seen.
He was trying to save a ship that was already sinking.
Yeah.
I think he was just hyping that up because he was taking over.
Like he hypes everything up more than. But yeah, I'm excited for those. There are a lot of cool things that they do. Also after we also do know who the next Batman writer is going to be after Hatouche, the Hush 2, but
Hatouche.
U is spelled with the 2. Matt Fraction is going to be taking over the main Batman comic. There's kind of been like a speculation for a while of who's going to take that mantle because like it's oftentimes the best-selling book in comics. Mm-hmm. Matt Fraction, you guys might know from Immortal Iron Fist, Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon, Siege. He wrote Uncanny X-Men for a while, and the indie book Sex Criminals. And Jorge Jimenez is going to keep on writing. Is going to keep on drawing Batman, which he's great. And there's a new costume that's got like blue in it and stuff, and people are super excited with that. And it's gonna be a new #1, so I assume that means a new jumping on point for people. I don't know if I'm gonna be jumping, but I might give it a try. I might just read it in trades because I really do like Matt Fraction as a writer. I like his X-Men stuff. I like his indie stuff, and Hawkeye is just amazing. We also know there's also a new Supergirl series. I think this is news because there hasn't been an ongoing Supergirl series since like 2017, 2018. It's going to be Sophie Campbell, who's done a bunch of indie books. It's going to be Ryan drawing it, and Tamara Bonvillain is going to be on covers. Is going to be on colors. I also just think that it's cool because it's two women who are making it, and Supergirl has been, as a character, messed up by a lot of male writers. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be fun. Also, Chip Zdarsky, who just finished his Batman run, is moving on to Captain America. I think that's interesting because Chip Zdarsky is Canadian. So I think that there's going to... So I think... Giving not to go into the world of politics right now because we try to keep most of that off of that. But there's some stuff... going on right there. Mm-hmm. And I am... And Chip Zdarsky also has a kind of irreverent energy, kind of FU energy, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the character, to the concept of Captain America.
Sure.
With that, also Marvel is canceling, kind of in the X-Men world. Marvel is canceling X Factor, NYX, and X Force, which
not
is sad.
Surprised.
Well,
I gave up X Force. I gave up X Force.
I've read a fair amount of. I'm not caught up on X Factor or NYX. I think those were fine series. X Force, I'm kind of surprised by because it felt like this is an X book. I thought it was gonna last longer. I thought people were reading it.
It's just so many. I guess like we have Uncanny X-Men, Adjectiveless X-Men, X Factor, NYX, X Force. Like we got to do some consolidating. I mean,
I do think a lot of the problem was within like 2 months they launched 6 team books at the same time,
right?
And then, I think that was too much for people.
Yes, and their wallets.
Yes, including mine.
Yeah.
And then when they and then they waited kind of later, and then have like these solo series that I think like a lot more people are like getting into Storm, because it's just like, oh, there's a new X book. It's not like 6 new X books.
Right.
Like, hey, I like Storm, but I don't know. Hopefully they get to finish up the X-Force arc. I'm kind of really looking forward to it. Going into comic review, you're a little bit behind. I am a little bit too, but I do have last week's comics that I have read. I read the Power Fantasy number 6, which is my probably has taken the spot for my favorite, not only book of the week, but my favorite book out there right now. It's kind of a Watchmen Authority send up. But kind of takes things in a new, interesting way. And there's the art has been fantastic, and it has been kind of a unique book that kind of says something new, and has been making me think more than anything else.
Yeah.
Also, I've also been reading some the X-Men books. X-Force number 8 continues to stay great, despite the fact that it's canceled. I've been really liking it. They've kind of been introducing a new villain. I think that she's new. I haven't, but and kind of doing interesting stuff with that, and with Forge, and with Betsy, and with Rachel. And Exceptional X-Men number 6 continues to be very slow, but well written and well drawn. We get to see more of these characters. We get to explore more of Kitty, with Kate Pryde. And then Uncanny X-Men number 10 stays good. There's kind of been there's kind of like some cliffhangers. Like we thought a character died, but he's okay. And there was a lot of reaction where Nightcrawler was like, where Rogue was like talking about like reforming the X-Men and kind of making it a more official thing, and Nightcrawler was like painting the house. He's like, I kind of just like want to do this. I don't want to be like, I don't know if I want to be an X-Men anymore. Yeah. And a bunch of people online were like, they're going to retire Nightcrawler, and like, no, they might make him leave the book, or this is just like a tension that they always have sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, this is a sentiment that even like that like once a decade, each character was like, hey, I kind of wish I wasn't an X-Men. Like, there's a really good there's a really good in 80s X-Men. There's a really good page. It's in it's in whatever Jubilee's first appearance is. It's a lot of the X-Men. They just go to the mall. I should remember. I should remember whatever. It's like 240 something.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, Carol Danvers' psyche is in charge of Rogue's body, but Carol Danvers was just like, I wish I could just become. I wish I could just like have this body for like a year.
Yeah.
Because like I'm always being like suppressed, and then I give it back, and someone was like, or no, and Betsy's like, well, what would you do? And she's like, I'd be a baseball player. I'd join the Boston Red Sox because Carol's from Boston.
Right.
I'd just be a baseball player. I'd be the best baseball player. And Betsy's like, and Carol's like, but I mean, I can't, and that sucks. And Betsy's like, because you're a woman, because I'm a mutant.
Yeah.
And then being forced into the situation is kind of what the X-Men is about. So just like in the middle of a story, this is just, I don't know, there's no one reading it, but in the middle of it, just like let people finish their stories.
Yeah.
That's kind of my soapbox. Don't say, hey, in the middle of a story, in the middle of a character arc, saying, hey, this character is saying something that I disagree with, that makes me unsure. This is automatically wrong. Just like let writers write. I mean, Gilsman's probably like 6 months ahead, so the story's probably finished. But
yeah.
And then Wonder Woman number 18 stays good. This was the most decompressed issue of all time. It was literally just Wonder Woman walking from the Washington Monument to the White House doors. The entire issue. It's a very Tom King thing where he just takes an issue and two characters walk somewhere. And that was okay, but
Miracle Man.
Yeah, there's a very similar. It is reminiscent of that one issue in Miracle Man,
where they're just going through the torture chambers.
Yeah, it's not as good. That might be one of the best Tom King issues ever written, and he said that himself. I might disagree, but this one, it's fine. And then New Gods #3 also came out, and that stays very good. This was a very dense one, and there's a lot of weird world building, but I also recognize that this is probably the second best book I'm reading right now.
Yeah. I was just kind of seeing if there was anything breaking. I didn't think we would be done nearly 4 minutes early. What would you think? Because this just came across my feed. Daniel Radcliffe as Clayface.
That interests me. I like Daniel Radcliffe. Obviously, I haven't seen Harry Potter in a while now.
Right.
But, even since then, he's in, Miracle Workers and stuff like that.
Right.
Which actually, Miracle Workers might be the only other thing I've seen him in. But Miracle Workers is kind of 4 seasons where he plays a different character each season.
Yeah. And
is in a different scenario. And he is a very good actor. I think he could play Clayface.
That would just be so, that'd be kind of weird, right?
Maybe.
From sorcerer to... I only pretty much know Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter, so seeing him in a villain role would definitely be shocking.
But Clayface isn't as much of a pure villain. He is one of the, if not the most sympathetic of Batman villains. Probably him and Harley Quinn and Man-Bat are the ones where it's, and probably Talia al Ghul. Mm-hmm. And actually, really a lot of Batman villains, his rogues gallery, aren't bad people. A lot of it is them being forced into bad situations and lashing out. And Clayface, famously, or not so famously, in 2016 to 2018, was a hero.
Yeah.
And Detective Comics. But I like Daniel Radcliffe. I've been able to separate him from my mind. I don't know if society at large has been able to do that.
Probably not.
It's because I don't know, kind of in the but society at large is kind of already separated, John Krasinski from Jim. So I think they could get there.
Stuff. Yeah.
And Daniel Radcliffe has 2, but they have all been smaller projects because he doesn't want to be part of a big media circus anymore. So I'd be very... That does kind of surprise me because he has just wanted to be in smaller stuff. So this would be the first big studio project that he's done.
Do you know what Loom World is?
Does it have something to do with the web of life and death from Spider-Verse?
I think so. Yeah. Apparently that's a leaked map that's supposed to get added.
That looks
Earth
like it's from
001.
a comic panel.
It is. It is from a comic panel. But that, apparently, I don't know what Loom World is. This just popped up on my feed. I'm trying to see if there's any other, Rivals, updates that I didn't miss on. They did, in Moon Knight's lore, because I think I talked about this earlier, that there's a running joke with Moon Knight that Dracula owes Moon Knight money, and they finally did that canonically in the game, where Khonshu asks, "Do you know of vampires?" And Moon Knight says that they suck, and Dracula owes me money. That's literally in the game lore. Dracula owes Moon Knight money, and I think that's freaking hilarious. And also, this was released just yesterday, but NetEase is planning on carrying Rivals for at least the next 10 years.
What's NetEase?
The developers for Marvel Rivals. Oh, okay. So we will get Marvel Rivals for the next 10 years at least, and there are also, I forgot to mention earlier that Psylocke and Wolverine, they had new voice lines that got leaked mentioning Emma Frost. So Emma Frost is also supposed to hit the game very soon too. So
one of my favorite problematic faves. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you not next week because next week is spring break, but we will see you on March 13th.
Yes.
Everyone have a safe break out there if you are, if you're part of Ball State. If you're traveling, stay safe with airplanes and cars and stuff. But we'll see you next week.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.